Welcome, folks. Let's dive into this intriguing analysis on the shifting alliances in Eurasia. Russia's getting closer with Iran, and US and Europe, well, they seem to be drifting apart.
Yeah, that's a real headline, isn't it? I mean, a partnership between Russia and Iran, and a divorce brewing on the other side of the Atlantic. It really reshapes the global order.
Exactly, it's like think of it as a realignment in a chess game. Russia and Iran are teaming up to solidify their influence in Eurasia, while Europe and the US, for reasons we'll get into, are increasingly at odds.
So, the crux here is that Alex Krainer, who is, a market analyst, author, and former hedge fund manager, lays out this narrative that it's a struggle for Eurasia, right?
Yep, he paints this picture where strategic alignment is shifting. It's like in a heavyweight bout. On one side, you have an alliance that's growing stronger, and on the other, a sort of, well, a divorce that could weaken the mutual bonds.
Right. Now, what exactly are the reasons behind this, do you think? I mean, why are Russia and Iran finding common ground?
Well, it's multifaceted, really. Russia, with its interests spread across Eurasia, finds in Iran a country that's strategically located and shares common enemies, as in adversarial positions towards the West.
Yeah. And aren't there like some economic and military elements in play too?
Absolutely. Economic sanctions from the West have nudged Russia closer to alternative partners like Iran. It's like being forced to find a new playbook when your old team isn't cooperating anymore.
And on the flip side, the US and Europe, what's the deal there?
You see, while historically the US and Europe have been close allies, there's been a growing divergence in interests and priorities. It's like a long running marriage that's starting to show cracks, diverging defense policies, energy strategies, and even approaches to global security.
Right. So, could we say that the divorce is more about a misalignment of strategic perspectives rather than, say, a complete breakdown?
Exactly. It's more of a gradual drifting apart than a dramatic split. The US traditionally is pushing its liberal values and global leadership role, whereas Europe finds itself more cautious, trying to balance ideally between security commitments and economic independence.
Yep, that makes sense. Though I sometimes wonder if there's also an element of, overreaction to certain policies. I mean, sure, strategic differences exist, but isn't there a risk of exaggerating this divorce narrative?
That's a fair point. There's a tendency to overstate the rift for dramatic effect. However, Krainer's analysis suggests that the divergence is deeply rooted in real strategic, economic, and even ideological differences that have been brewing over time.
Yeah, I see. It's interesting how he connects economic pressures like sanctions to these broader shifts. Do you think that these economic pressures have played too major a role in pushing Russia and Iran closer?
Absolutely. Economic sanctions, trade restrictions, they basically force nations to seek out alternative partnerships. It's like when your usual supplier raises prices, you naturally start looking for a more affordable option. And in this case, that option happens to be Iran for Russia.
And this isn't just about economics, right? There's also a security and military dimension.
Right, definitely. Think about it. By teaming up, they can share military technologies, strategic intelligence, and even coordinate in ways that offer them both a better security posture against Western pressures.
I'd say it's almost like a counterbalance. One bloc developing capabilities that challenge the hegemony of the US and Europe.
Exactly. It's like constructing a counterweight in the global balance of power. And this is why many analysts are paying close attention to this emerging partnership.
Right. Now, turning back to the US and Europe scenario, it sounds like they're not quite in sync anymore. Is it more of a diplomatic estrangement, or does it touch on fundamental policy disagreements?
I'd say it's a bit of both. On one hand, there's the cultural and ideological alignment that once pulled them together. But now, factors like differing energy policies, especially with Europe's gradual move away from reliance on traditional American-backed energy structures and differing stances on security issues, are fueling the split.
It almost seems like the transatlantic relationship is becoming, I don't know, more transactional than relational?
Exactly, and that transactional nature, well, it lacks the traditional depth of historical alliance. It's like a partnership where mutual benefits are becoming the only glue holding it together rather than a shared vision.
Right. Which raises a question. If the transatlantic bond is weakening, do you think Europe might eventually pivot away even further from US led security frameworks?
That's a possibility. Some argue that Europe could evolve into a more independent global actor, shaping its own policies and mechanisms, perhaps even a new security architecture. It's like building your own sandbox instead of relying on someone else's play area.
Mm-hmm. But then, isn't there also the risk that such a pivot might create vulnerabilities? I mean, detaching from decades old alliances isn't without its own hazards.
True, and that's where critics caution that while the narrative of divorce is compelling, the practical realities are more complicated. The US and Europe could end up entangled in conflicts of interest, but the historical ties still hold some sway.
Yeah, it's like there's this tension between tradition and transformation, where the past still influences the future, even when the signs point to dramatic shifts.
Precisely. And Krainer's analysis captures that tension quite well. He's not just predicting a clean break, but rather suggesting that structural changes are afoot, which could, over time, lead to an erosion of the transatlantic bond.
And this all ties back to the broader geopolitical struggle in Eurasia, doesn't it? How global power is being reconfigured.
Exactly. This isn't a localized issue, it's about the reordering of global influence. The emerging Russia Iran axis versus the faltering US Europe alignment symbolizes a shift from unipolar to multipolar dynamics.
Right. I find that really compelling. It's as if the global chessboard is being reset, with new pieces and new strategies coming into play.
Absolutely, and let's not forget the role of public discourse and media coverage in all this. Analysts like Krainer are bringing these narratives to the forefront, which in turn shape policy debates and public perceptions.
Yeah, that's true. Though I do wonder how much of this analysis is driven by caution versus some inherent bias given the analysts' backgrounds.
A valid critique, species of bias can't be overlooked. Krainer's background as a former hedge fund manager means he's highly attuned to market and geopolitical risk, but that also might color his interpretations with a financial lens.
So, while the analysis is rich, it's essential, to consider multiple viewpoints to round out the picture.
Definitely. It's a complex game with many players, and while Krainer provides a detailed insight into the current state of affairs, it's always wise to cross-reference these perspectives with other analyses.
Right. In the end, it seems we're looking at a fundamental realignment in global power, a Russia-Iran partnership that strengthens alternative blocs, and a US-Europe relationship that might be on the verge of a significant transformation. Thanks for the deep dive. It's been quite an enlightening conversation.